You're now listening to the Interlocking NY podcast. Good afternoon, wherever you may be on this Friday, August 2nd, 2013. I'm Brian Danoff, the voice of the Interlocking NY, and we'll discuss all the recent news about the New York Yankees. Find me on Twitter under the username BrianD_H4TV. And don't forget to check out my work over at h4-entertainment.com and yankeesfansunite.com. So I'm ready, you're ready, and in the words of Michael K., let's do it here on the very first episode of the Interlocking NY podcast. So, as I would normally open up, I would say, what's up guys, Yankees run this town here, but this is a totally new format, a totally new show, and I just wanted to up the ante a bit of how I bring my thoughts about the Yankees to the internet. Of course, I will always be on Twitter. My YouTube channel has now been running for about, I'd say, 3.5 years now, and that's pretty amazing. I feel really old just saying that, but I'm only 15, so I guess I'm not that over the hill quite yet, but, that's gotten a bit stale, I guess you could say. I'm definitely not going to stop making videos, but I decided, I've been looking into starting a podcast for a while, and I figured why not do it now that I have a professional microphone, as you guys can tell by the quality of my voice. And, of course, I have also Skull Candy headphones, which are just great for, blocking out anything else that might be trying to distract me. So, and also, I can't lie, I feel kind of professional and cool to have such a professional system of, recording. So, that's pretty much the reason why I'm not changing any of my content. I hope most of you guys know me. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm a Yankee fan. As I said, I'm 15. My goal is to eventually become a baseball reporter or broadcaster. Like Michael K., he's a big inspiration to me, as is Vince Scully. As you can tell, as I combine kind of a few of their memorable quotes into my open by saying, let's do it, and of course, good afternoon, wherever you may be. That's how Vince Scully's opened up his broadcasts for many, many years now, and both of them are great, and I met Michael K. at FanFest back in the summer, or back in July, I guess you could say, and he was very great and very down to earth, and broadcasting is just my number one career I'd love to get into, so that's why I'm starting all these podcasts and doing YouTube videos and tweeting about the Yankees, and because it's just, at the end of the day, that's what I want to do for my life, for a living, and that would just be incredible. I can't even imagine actually getting to do that, but with hard work and in dedication, hopefully, and somehow finding a connection, somehow, because it's not what you know, it's who you know in this world, but hopefully I can find someone and, really sink my teeth into the sports media world. So, I hope you guys enjoy the podcast, and, we'll see how long it goes, we'll see how long it takes to get through a show. Normally I'm doing this on the iRadio website. I currently am on the free plan, which is only 25 minutes worth of audio, but I'm about to upgrade to the 3 gigabytes of audio, so that can give me like hours and hours and hours of space to put episodes on. I will probably do this once a week, just so it's easier on my schedule. I'll always be free at some point for an hour or so to just come on and talk about the Yankees. I probably want to do it towards the end of the week. I don't know if Friday's the set day yet. I'll let everyone know. But for now, I just wanted to start it off, finally get it out there, and I guess we should just jump right in. So, the Yankees and Padres have the honor of being the first two teams I mentioned in the first series I mentioned. The Yankees are about to open up a 3-game set in San Diego. Of course, I don't remember the last time the Yankees played the Padres. I know, of course, that they defeated them in the 1998 World Series. I was just a baby, but the Yankees had an incredible season, and it finished off with a sweep of the Padres. So, certainly they're far removed from that dynasty era of the 90s. There's no mistake, this season's been a very frustrating one and very difficult to watch at points. It started back in the winter with, the ignorance of either ownership or Brian Cashman or both of them for not, deciding to bring back Nick Swisher or Russell Martin or Raul Ibanez and just hope that the guys remaining would be enough to have another playoff season, and clearly that has not been the case. Now, of course, no one could have foreseen the injuries that have happened, but at the same time, going into the season relying on 39-year-old Jeter and 38-year-old A-Rod was probably not the smartest thing from the get-go. So, and of course, Alex Rodriguez has not played a game yet. Now that I brought him up, I don't want to really get into the Biogenesis stuff just yet. I kind of want to focus on the thing I was talking about, and that's the Yankees and Padres. So the Yankees, fast forwarding to right now, they're 56 and 51. They're 8.5 games out of first place. As a Yankee fan, that is very weird to say. I do remember the 07 and 08 seasons where they were, treading water the whole season, and in 07 they ended up squeezing in, but in 08 they didn't do as well. So, and on my YouTube channel, you guys can check out the videos. I don't have very high expectations for the Yankees in the second half. I do expect them to fall short. But certainly this series against San Diego and the series they would play next against Chicago, the White Sox, would be huge to win those games and really gain some ground, or gain some wins rather, because if the Yankees were to win, I guess you could say 5 out of the next 6 games, that puts them close to, puts them 9 games over 500 if I'm doing the math right, or somewhere around there. Don't hold me to that, but that's way better than 5 games, and that would definitely put them back in the wild card race. Legitimate. They're 3.5 games out, but they're behind so many teams. They're behind the Rangers, the Rays, the Orioles, the Rangers. So, I think I said the Rangers. Did I? I think I did. Can't go back and really check there, but the fact remains that the Yankees are not really among those teams. They are not. All those teams are really expecting to be there at the end. The Yankees right now, I think mentally they maybe hope they'll be there at the end, but I think we all kind of see the way the season's heading. But as I said, if they can, win this series against the Padres, win this series against the White Sox, it'll look a lot better. And they really need to, because those two teams are the last 2 easy teams they're going to play practically for the rest of the season, because after that they go back home for a series against the Tigers and the Angels, and the Angels are not as great as they were supposed to be, but they are not a horrible team. They are a competitive team, and they've always given the Yankees troubles. Then they go to Boston for 3 against the Red Sox. Then they come back home for a split doubleheader against the Blue Jays, and then 2 more. So it's a 4-game set. Then they play the Rays in Tampa, the Blue Jays in Toronto, the Orioles at home. That brings them into September, where then they play the White Sox one more time, but then it finishes off with the Red Sox, Orioles, Red Sox, Blue Jays, San Francisco Giants, who I guess you can say are not a good team anymore, but still the defending world champions, and I don't think they're necessarily an easy team to beat. Then you have the Rays, and then your last series of the year is against the Astros in Houston. So they really don't get any breaks after this next week. So the Yankees I don't know if the series makes or breaks the season, but it definitely has big ramifications. Because if they cannot win, and I know that they're on the road, so it's not an easy thing to beat any team on the road, but if they can't win win a series against the Padres and White Sox, who can they beat? Of course, tonight, the biggest story around this game, even if they win or lose tonight, the main, the greatest thing is that Curtis Granderson is back. He's coming off a disabled list now. Played a few rehab games in Staten Island and Trenton, so he's made his way back up to the Yankees. He is the prime example. He is the poster child of the 2013 Yankees. Breaks his hand the first spring training game. I was watching live. I was really pissed, and then he comes back, and then everything's great again, and then the cavalry's arriving. Teixeira and Youkilis will be back soon as well, and then Granderson breaks his other hand. So I mean, that really is that's the one. If you want to look at one part or one player from this season to really characterize it and sum it up, it's Curtis Granderson. Last offseason, before all the injuries happened, I wanted the Yankees to trade him. I did, and I'm not retracting from that statement. He is not a great player. But the fact is the Yankees are so desperate for offense and so desperate for power that I will take his strikeouts at this point realistically, you have 2 months in the season. So I say, if he hits 15, 20 home runs, I'd be thrilled. I guess it's a lot to ask, 20, but... he's a legitimate bat in the middle of that order. Can take advantage of the short portion right field. The Yankees have a lot of home games coming up. So, they acquired Alfonso Soriano. Derek Jeter's back. Jeter has not looked great after that first game with the Rays when he hit that home run and he picked up another hit. But he hasn't gotten on base that much. But he looks good in his at-bats. That's what I'm trying to say. He looks good. He's fouling off a lot of tough pitches. He's, my phone just went off. He's having good at-bats, and I think that eventually will translate to consistent hitting and consistent production. So that top of the order now is completely different from earlier in the season. You now have, it's probably going to be something like, Gardner, Jeter, Cano, Granderson, Soriano every night, whether, Granderson's playing left field or DHing, whatever. That is a formidable top five. It's the bottom four that still scares me. It's either Ichiro or Wells, or it's Lyle over Bay, and then it's David Adams or Jason Nix, or whoever the hell is going to play third base, and then it's Chris Stewart or Austin Romine. So really, their chances for winning and their chances for scoring runs has to come from that top of the order. I mean, that's a no-brainer. But the fact is the Yankees are at their strongest point right now. They are not going to get any healthier. Everyone that was supposed to come back is either back or injured for the rest of the season, as in Youkilis and Teixeira. Uke said he might try to come back the last week of September or something like that, but I really don't expect him to be back. And Teixeira's definitely done for the year. He had the surgery. He's not coming back until 2014. So, am I forgetting someone? Am I forgetting, I don't know, third baseman by any chance? First name Alex, last name Rodriguez. Yes, I purposely left him out because I just don't know if I can consider him a player that's on the comeback trail. I truly, and I've said this in my YouTube videos and on Twitter, I truly don't have an opinion on this whole biogenesis stuff because it's just been so bizarre and so weird and so many conflicting reports and reports out of left field that we didn't think were true, but they ended up being true. And then, people claiming the only evidence they have is that, A-Rod's name is on a list of Tony Bosch's and there's some text messages, really flimsy stuff. There's no needles, there's no bottles, there's no, I haven't heard of anything of that sort that would lead me to really firmly believe A-Rod had juiced again. And this has been something that I've been thinking about for the past few days now, is that was he really that stupid to go back to taking steroids again? And apparently this this from the some reports I've heard is that he's being suspected of juicing from 2009 to 2012. So basically, right after he admitted to taking steroids and said he wouldn't do it again, and he had a clean slate and everyone loved him again, he decided to go back and juice. It's A-Rod, so you can't really put anything past him and doubt that he would do that, because he's still a pretty stupid guy. But that would, honestly, nothing's official yet, so nothing is really set in stone that, yes, he did take steroids again. But if it does come out that he did, I would be shocked. I would just be, not shocked, appalled that he would decide to do that. How can you be that ignorant and stupid? And that's the thing that pisses me off too, because we all gave A-Rod a clean slate. We gave him the opportunity to remake his image. He said he wanted to be more of a team player. He no longer cared about if he was hitting 50 home runs. He cared if the team was in the playoffs. That is something we never heard him talk about prior to 2009. He was a changed guy, apparently. It seemed like he was clean. Teammates loved him for once. He played great. And of course, when it came to October, he had one of the best postseason performances of hitting ever. It just really gets me pissed off that if this is true, how can he be that stupid? How? I really want a true apology. I want some sort of statement. I want him to come out and say, I am not a role model. I am an idiot. And it's been weird because he's been really quiet on the whole front. And, whenever someone asks him about, Biogenesis, no comment. I can't discuss that now. So, it's weird because he's not necessarily denying it, but he's not necessarily even wanting to talk about it. So that could either mean he's just tired of hearing it, or he really is guilty and he doesn't want to say anything. But it's just been so weird, especially from, the fake doctor coming, not the fake doctor, but allegedly a doctor who took a look at A-Rod's MRI and said the Yankees are trying to make sure he stays off the field, and he didn't find anything wrong with his MRI. Then they brought him to the regular team doctor, and they found a quad strain. So it's just been the weirdest, most random, dragged out and ugly saga in recent Yankee history. I really can't remember another season, another story like this, because then when A-Rod first came out to admitting from a 1 to 03, that was a one-time thing. It was a bombshell story. He was all over the back page of the Daily News, but that was really only a week, because then he spoke. He tried to put it by him, and most people, they looked for other headlines. There was nothing controversial about that. A-Rod came out and said, I did it. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Now it's just he's been so mum on the whole point, yet, we see him every day. People posting pictures of him, in Tampa or playing rehab games and stuff like that. So it's just been weird, and I just flat out want it to end. That's all I really want. I really don't care. If A-Rod is somehow innocent and he could come back on the field and help us, great. If he's guilty and he did juice again and he's either banned for life or banned for, this season and all of 2014, great. I just don't care anymore. I want it to be over with. I want, and not necessarily the steroid era to be over with, because I think people need to accept that there will always be PEDs in baseball. I really think that, because the only way there wouldn't be is if MLB decides to adopt a one strike and you're out policy, where you get caught once and you're out of the game. I don't think anyone's ever going to push for that. The players' union would never agree with that. But that's my opinion, because at this point, it's so well known. Baseball is swarmed with steroid users. What incoming player would be stupid enough to still try to, to take steroids? It just makes no sense to me. And I feel like at this point, you either know not to take them or you don't, and you're out of the game. My opinion right now is also that if that's not it, I feel like a more realistic option would be to potentially, hear me out, first time offense, you have to forfeit your current contract and you get signed back for the league minimum. I think that would drive players not to do it, because they're all in it for the money at the end of the day. As much as players say they want to win the World Series, Ryan Braun is not going to win a World Series with the Brewers, but he's still going to pay paid $105 million. So I'm sure he could care less. You know, so I think that's the main thing. If players had to give up their money, and I would also say, push for non-eligibility, they're not eligible for MVPs, Cy Youngs, any awards, any recognition, and of course not the Hall of Fame, I say that would be enough to drive players to really not take them anymore. My main point, of course, the salary part, because, as I said, Ryan Braun doesn't care that he's losing $3 million because he's still making $100 million more, even though he's a cheat, So, I mean, that's what incoming players are looking at. Oh, I can get caught. I can have a tremendous couple of seasons, get caught, and still make a bunch of money. Oh, why wouldn't I take steroids? You know what I mean? So, that's my opinion on it. I guess you could say my opinion. It's just a mess. I think people need to accept that baseball's never going to be a fully clean game, no matter what Bud Selig says and wants. And he's looked like an idiot in all of this for just, turning a clear blind eye to it 10 years ago and all of a sudden coming out and trying to, persecute A-Rod and try to make sure, make an example out of him. I think if he did take steroids again, A-Rod's definitely deserving of a suspension. There's no doubt about that. But is he deserving of being the face of the steroid era and the scapegoat and the guy we just blame everything on? And in 50 years when we talk about steroids in baseball, we have to think about Alex Rodriguez first. I don't know. Because there were guys now, A-Rod has not broken any record. He has not, he hasn't. He's been the youngest player to hit 500 home runs, something like that. But he's not going to break the all-time home run record. He's not going to hit 73 home runs in a season anytime soon. Look at guys like Mark McGwire. Look at guys like Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds. They are actually, A-Rod, of course, that was his intent, of course, to get every record. But, they actually set new records that are simply not authentic. So I think you have to look at them more, and it's crazy because now most little kids don't even know who Mark McGwire is. They know who A-Rod is. They know that he's a cheat, even though, right now, what's his biggest fault? Using steroids for a few years in Texas and hitting a few more home runs. Is that really? It's bad, but is that really? Is he the devil? Is he the most deserving player to be kicked out of baseball and such? No. So, that kind of rambled a little bit. I think I'm going to wrap up the podcast now, my first episode. That's turned into a rant, but you should expect me to rant a lot on this site, on this podcast, because that is just something I like to do. I'm strong about my opinions, I'm passionate, and, I feel like I bring a youthful, insight to the baseball world. So that is pretty much it, guys. Of course, today you can't leave the podcast, a Yankees podcast, without mentioning today is the 34th anniversary of Thurman Munson's death in a tragic plane crash. And, I never saw him play, so I can't say anything personal, but my dad was a huge Munson fan. Everyone loved him. He was a terrific catcher, MVP, Rookie of the Year, I think, stuff like that. And he was just an incredible Yankee, an incredible captain, and, he's still very much missed because he still would be only in his 60s, and he could have been an ambassador for the Yankees and the face of the franchise long after his death in 1979. So I think it's a day to reflect. It's a day to honor him and remember him, and just hope that people can look at him more tonight than talking about Alex Rodriguez and the ridiculous Biogenesis scandal in Major League Baseball. So thanks for watching, guys. As I said, this podcast will be extended to more minutes, maybe an hour, if I have enough to talk about every week. But thanks for listening. Go Yankees, and I will see you guys all very, very soon. Have a good night, and so long.